So I said, I can go ahead and come on. So I had to remind me, a whole bunch of white folks get like in life. So I could have passed the opportunity up, but anytime I can correct a fool, I got to do what I do. And do understand, I get people that come to me all the time and they say, actually I was on Monique's show, and she asked me, she said, you say stuff on TV that other people would be afraid to say, they might get fired. I said, first of all, Monique, she let me be clear. I start every job with the premise, I'm going to get fired anyway. One time, 2 times, 3 times. I've been fired like 5 times. So getting fired really is not a big thing. And one of the reasons I do that is because sometimes some stuff needs to be said regardless of if somebody gets mad or ticked off. And I've never been one to hold my tongue. In fact, I tell folks all the time, I have no filter. If it come in my head, it's like it's going to come out my mouth. Because I just don't necessarily like to beat around the bush. And some people, they like to do that on TV. And I just believe you got to call some people out who need to be called out. And so Mitt Romney need to be called out. Because I had to remind Mitt Romney on TV, Iowa, anybody from Iowa? Anybody from Iowa? Raise your hand. That's my point. So I don't know how, an artist got get Iowa 97% white. He lost that state too. Anybody here from Vermont? Precisely. Rhode Island? Precisely. One person? You from Rhode Island? I bet y'all had an MLK event at your house. Anybody here from Maine? Anybody here from Maine? My point. In fact, the Republican chair in Maine also was quoted yesterday saying that they're going to have an investigation because they reported hundreds of black people showed up at the polls to vote in Maine. And his quote was, no one knew anybody black. Maine has 1.2% African Americans, and they were freaking out. I think actually what happened was 4 black people voted, and it looked like 100. So sometimes you got to go ahead and just check folks, and so I had to do that this morning, and so we had to do what we had to do. But I'm certainly glad to be here with you. Let me also do this here. My wife is doing a session. Y'all got a bunch of sessions after this, but y'all need to go to her session. Fellas, guys in here, you married, raise your hand. Let me warn you right now. If your wife ever doing a session, or it don't even matter if you're speaking anywhere, always give your wife a shout out so you don't get cut off. So, she's in Lincoln E. Her session is developing personal leadership as a sound approach and means to attain and maintain classroom management for effective instruction and student engagement. I don't know who wrote that long damn title, but so basically she's talking about leadership. Y'all straight, all right. So wifey, you got a shout out. Jackie, you hear something? There you go, all right, you got a shout out. There you go, she over there. Way, there you go. Jackie, Reverend Jackie Hood Martin, give her a hand. So let's get right to here. Before I do that, anybody here from Houston, give me a shout. All right, you raise your hand, you from Beaumont. You live in Houston now? You travel. Beaumont, 90 miles from Houston. Beaumont is not a suburb of Houston. Houston folks. I'm native Houston Jack Case High School. So glad to be here. Any Aggies in here? Texas A&M Aggies? Woo! Any Alabama fans? Sorry we hurt y'all feelings. Last shout out, Doc. Any Alphas in the room? All right, the rest of y'all frat, y'all belong to junior clubs. Not my fault, y'all couldn't get in. All right. All right, let's get right to it. I was sitting here trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to focus on, and several thoughts ran through my head. We talked about education, and let me be clear, I am not an education expert, I'm an education advocate. And that is a huge difference. But do understand we spend significant amounts of time in my family dealing with this here. My wife is an educator, my brother's a teacher in Houston, my sister's a teacher in College Station, Texas, my other sister's a teacher in Cedar Hill, Texas, and my other sister is a teacher's aide in Houston. So I'm the only one going in the classroom because I hurt a kid. So it's best I do exactly what I'm doing. But I was sitting here contemplating really what I wanted to focus on. And when you have this many black people and you're in the Bible Belt, you got the title of what you talk about. Because in churches call it tag your text. And some of y'all get home and they say, what do you talk about? I don't know. So I'm going to give you a title so you can have something to refer to. Just like in church, if you taking notes, title this text, No Fear. No fear. And the reason I settle on that is because that is precisely the attitude that I have every single day when I'm on the Tom Joyner Morning Show, when I'm on CNN, when I'm on Washington Watch every Sunday on TV One, or writing my column, and that is we have enough weak, impotent people in leadership in this country. Yes. And we need more people who have no fear. Now, what no fear means is that you're not afraid to make changes. You're not afraid to call it like you see it. You're not afraid to challenge status quo. And you're not afraid to challenge assumptions that folks make every single day. Yes. And no fear also means that you're willing to get in some folks' face who need to be pushed a little bit. Who need to be prodded a little bit. And I think part of the problem we have today is that we have a generation of folks today who have decided to take this nicey nice approach, and what it has resulted in is weak leadership and another generation who doesn't understand that you are going to have to fight for what is right and to be a difference maker. And look, I understand hierarchy. Go ahead, I'm sorry. I understand. I understand hierarchy. I understand that we operate in systems, and I understand there might be blowback when you are that kind of person. But do understand that when you walk into a school building, when you walk into an administration place, when you are able to walk in with a sense of no fear, you have a level of confidence and you have a sense of an assertive attitude that other folks are going to pick up on real quick. Yes. And see, I don't mind when people say, I'm going to leave that brother alone because he crazy. Malcolm X once said, the one man you should always fear is the man who is not afraid to die. And I think when it comes to education, you should have that same attitude by saying the one man or woman you should be afraid of is the person who is not fearful of what you might say or do. Because we are facing critical issues in this country. We are facing a war on our children because folks want to attack various things. You have folks who want to attack teacher unions not because of education, but because of politics.